Hello. Okay, today we are going to begin with your module 5, which is dedicated to this discussion of optical networks. So far from the beginning, module 1 to module 4, we discussed in detail about starting from evolution of optical fibers to different types of optical fibers, their different modes, what they're supporting, both theoretical and mathematical aspects can be discussed. After that, we gone through the discussion of the devices, optical devices, which were developed or evolutionized with respect to both transmitter and the receiver. Like for example, LEDs, lasers, etc., which are used as generators, optical generators at the transmitter side, and optical detectors at the receiver side, such as photo detectors, etc. We have discussed so far, along with the optical amplifiers. So after studying these things, one thing we have noticed that this optical domain has been evolutionized as a separate field as compared to the remaining one. So the main aspect here is in the last module what we are focusing, how this has led to the development of uh, communication networks using optical fiber as a medium. So why, after all, we are running behind this optical fiber? So we already discussed in the beginning in the module 1 that the main advantages of this optical fiber compared to the traditional copper cable is it's supporting a wide bandwidth and losses are very much reduced. So this is the main feature which led to the development of so far leading technology in the communication domain. So that's why we are going for this optical fiber. So if you look at this one, which is this slide is going to represent you the evolution of optical fiber networks. Currently, synchronous digital hierarchy, that is SDH, or SONET point-to-point communication networks, which were developed in the late 80s or 90s, were upgraded or still upgrading with the help of the wavelength routing technologies. Means the first generation where we got these 1980s or 1990s technologies, which are actually supported point-to-point communication technologies, which were supported with OPS. OPS means optical packet switching. Based on this one, see the whole initially this one, the evolution of optical fiber network is hence mainly categorized into three generations. The first generation, initial, if you look at this graph, it is going to give you the picture of deployment time scale of this optical fiber network evolution with respect to three generations as far as y-axis containing the switching times. So what are the factors we are considering in order to divide or classify them into different generations? So one is speed, the switching time, and second one, whether we are able to configure them, reconfigure them or not, whether the circuits or devices are reconfigurable or not. And second one is optical network structure, whether it is going to be simple or complex. That is going to further going to consider the factors like the cost, bulky or compact, like that. So in this way, uh, by plotting switching time versus the deployment time scale, So in how many years or decades these generations have been deployed commercially. In 80s to 90s, in that decade, a synchronous digital hierarchy or a SONET-based point-to-point communication link networks had been deployed, which were based on the packet switching-based technology. There, the switching speed supported was very less. Now, the present day, what it has been decade, the second generation. So these SDS or SONET are still upgrading with these wavelength routing technologies, which were supported by both OPS, packet switching and circuit switching. Packet switching means where the one's message, whatever you want to transmit, okay. So that will be split up or divided into a group of messages, which are known as packets. And each packet will be containing control information, containing the destination address where it is about to reach. Whereas the circuit switching, so the path has been established before uh, this information will be transmitted, and after the transmission of information is over, then that established path will be removed. So now these technologies are upgrading with the help of this wavelength routing technologies. But the problem with this present day technologies, what they are calling in the second generation column, facing this static problem. Static means we are not able to reconfigure them. For example, suppose uh, after establishing the path between A and B, and if you are transmitting the information from A, and in the middle, if you lost that information, or if you will find in the middle that unable to reach the destination, we cannot reallocate that path uh, in another way. That reallocation of path is not possible. If established the path, if you are unable to send the information either it will be lost or cannot go to reach the destination. So that is the problem with the second generation. So therefore, looking at such problems, uh, one is to address this reconfigurable issue. Second one is the speed, and third one, the bulky optical network structures, which are complex and bulky. So looking at these three issues, the third generation uh, got evolved with the three kinds, like with the two old ones, that is OPS and OCS, along with OBS, that is optical burst switching. In optical burst switching, the information will be transmitted in the form of message burst, and this technology is lying between that of the OPS and OCS. Okay. So this one with these technologies are going to giving the customers with the wide variety of options as far as the speed, configuration, and complexity of the optical network structure or the bulky, which was evolved in the last 5 to 10 years. So later, further advancements we can see later in the coming slides. So further details, this is the summary just I have given with the key issues here, which are to be put or discussed as far as the optical fiber network evolution is concerned. So if you look at the switching speeds, optical packet switching is going to give the speeding in terms of 160 plus Gbps compared to OBS and OCS. Moreover, OBS and OCS are going to be quite complex and bulky compared to OPS. OPS is quite very simple, but OBS is most widely used where uh, complex tasks are involved. Again, it is depending on the requirement and application. All the three technologies in the third generation are employed. This is all about optical fiber network evolution. So next one, optical fiber network concepts. Uh, we got some uh, terms to be discussed here. So optical fiber transmission medium can be used to transfer the information from source to destination, which requires some intermediate stages to process the data and control the operation. The methodology that can be adopted for the interconnection of many optical devices along with optical procedures are divided into many types. So let us consider the typical optical network here, where circle structures will indicate each circle structure will be indicating optical node. Each solid path, it is indicating the physical link or optical fiber link that is physically connecting between each of these optical nodes. Okay, and the dotted lines are indicating, so whatever the optical information that we are transmitting with a particular wavelength, specific wavelength. Okay, so if you are going to send or transmit, if you want to transmit the information with a particular or specific wavelength from source to destination with a dedicated line path, that is called a light path, and or logical paths, which are actually indicated by the dotted lines here. You can see here two light rays or optical paths you are observing are light paths with the wavelengths carrying lambda 1 and lambda 2. We are getting lambda 2 from the top node and lambda 1 from the bottom node here. Okay. So the term you have to remember here, the things are uh, just a bare picture will be given here, how the optical network will be existing with interconnected optical nodes and what is light path. So more thing we are going to focus on this optical node here. So in this network you can see here, it appears very simple. It simply consists of a set of optical nodes interconnected by the physical links. Then what all these other things are going to do? Like there are many things or functions we have to serve. We already know it. When you are going to transmit the information from source to destination, for example, from the transmitter to the receiver. It is not sufficient if we just couple the optical signal from the transmitter, that is from LED or laser to the optical fiber, and will rest for the whole day. So by the time we will assume that it will reach the destination, that is at the receiver. It is not like that. We will be doing demultiplexing, routing, and who are the people who are going to take care of these on the path will be getting many kinds of losses like due to dispersion or scattering losses. Who else has to remove them and filter them and who have to boost them? So such corresponding devices already were discussed in the later in the previous modules. So all those things will be there in between the transmitter and the receiver optical path. Okay, so don't confuse between optical path and the light path. Light path is a dedicated optical path which is carrying the optical signal with a particular wavelength. Like that, you have got here in the figure two light paths, lambda 1 and lambda 4, carrying the lambda 1 and lambda 2. So here, optical nodes are, uh, they are not just simply acting like a nodes. We are looking at these optical nodes as multifunctional, uh, we can say, right now, can tell devices, multifunctional devices. So that much responsibility is now we are imposing, or weaving with respect to the optical nodes here, because you can see throughout this network we don't have any other devices left with other than the optical nodes. So means directly or indirectly we are imposing the functions like on the optical nodes, like routing, multiplexing, demultiplexing, amplifying, like that. Many if things it has supposed to do now we are expecting, along with logical paths. Okay. So let us see how these optical nodes are able to do all kind of such things. Okay. So based on the control mechanism, so this whole thing, optical fiber network concepts, the discussion is divided into two categories: optical fiber network terminology and nodes and switching elements. As far as terminology is concerned, so look at this one. To send and receive messages across the optical fiber, we need to establish the transmission path. So two nodes will be there, in between having many nodes, which are all supposed to do these two things, which are important: switching and routing. So the network structure formed due to interconnectivity patterns is actually termed as network topology, which may be simple to complex. Simple to the bus topology, what you're observing here, figure A, to the complex like a mesh one in figure D. Okay. If you look at this one, and right now I am just putting only two functions as far as the nodes are concerned. Circular structures are the nodes. Solid structures are the physical links or logical links. Okay. So there are different topologies are there that we already know about it. The first one is a bus topology where we can see four nodes on the left and four nodes on the right side are connected not with each other but opposite to each other, they are interconnected with the physical links as shown in the figure. It is something like it is a four-port Kulper, four ports at the input side and four ports at the output side. It is a bidirectional. It is going to support the transmission of information bidirectionally. Means you can transmit the information from this node to this node or from this node to this bidirectional. Compared to that, in the ring topology, second one, the six nodes will be connected or interconnected in the ring fashion, where because of this, uh, you are able to transmit the information unidirectionally only compared to bidirectional in case of the bus. But it is advantages that it repeatedly regenerates the signals in phase and amplitude. Signal will go on becoming stronger. So whereas in a star coupler, which is actually come to existence to resolve the problems or issues with the bus and the ring. So the problem with the bus here is that interconnection is not possible between all the nodes, even in the ring. All nodes are not interconnected. And moreover, we cannot transmit the information from one particular node to any desired uh, particular node. Whereas in a ring, you have to wait. If these two nodes are conversing, if this one also want to converse with this, then it should wait until the conversation between these two will be over. That is the problem or issue with the ring. Also, with similar case with the bus. So the two issues are there: the interconnection between the all the nodes, and second one, interoperability. Okay, intercommunication as per the desire, as we desire, as at any time. That is not possible. We'll have to wait until if one conversation is already going on. We'll have to wait till that is over. Then connection path is established and you will be allowed to carry on. These two issues will be come over with the help of the star coupler by keeping the central node as the main, you can say, the switching boss, which is acting like a hub, not hub, sorry, a switching center, which is going to decide which of the two nodes will be interconnected and allowed to converse it. So in this topology, you are allowed to talk, to have more than one conversation. Again, there are two types under star coupler: passive. If it is a passive, then it is acting like a hub. Passive means it will not require any external power supply to do the particular function. Okay. Active hub means, so it will require external power supply, and it is going to couple multiple conversations without any loss of the information. Some loss will be there in the passive hub if it is going to support such multiple conversations, but that is not the case in case of active hub. Okay. Star coupler, that is a conversation, that is how it is going to support. Another application of star coupler already we have seen in case of the wavelength splitting by using star coupler in the previous model we have discussed. Wavelength splitting or wavelength coupling by using star coupler, because the star coupler is going to couple the multiple nodes without overlapping. If you are supporting with the passive one, passive, it is going to have incur some loss. Otherwise, no loss will be incurred if you are supporting it with the active one. So normally it is used to have logical or virtual topology due to its uh, complexity. So more complexity we are getting in the mesh topology, where each node will be interconnected, but it is more complex and requires more links to be interconnected between all the nodes. Advantage plus point is that all the nodes are interconnected, but disadvantage is that comes with that one is increased number of links. Spite of that, its complexity, it is more or less in majority of the applications, mesh topology is used because it is going to support the bus ring topologies even. So this is all about the terminology. That is one aspect what you have studied so far with respect to the based on control mechanism, the optical fiber network concepts. The next one we are getting optical network nodes. That's what I told. So network node is a very important point here to be discussed in this module, because a lot of things will be done by this optical node itself. So that's why it is called as a multifunctional element. It is acting like a switch or a router, or it can also be used as a wavelength converter. Hence, it is also known as a wavelength converting router. Let us see how these things will come into picture by looking at each of these figures. So in figure A, you can see it is 1:2 port device. Means the node is represented like this. One single node is behaving like 1:2 port device. Means what? So here you are getting two multiplexed wavelength signals, lambda 1, lambda 2 at port 1. That will be split into lambda 1 and lambda 2 separated at port 2 and 3. Means it is acting like a 1:2 splitter, wavelength splitter. Similarly, here in figure B, it is acting like a multiplexer. It is going to multiplex two wavelengths, lambda 1, lambda 2, coming out from the port 3. Means single node is behaving like this. You are going to configure the single node to behave like either splitter or a multiplexer. This is 2 is to 1 multiplexer. This is 1 is to 2 splitter. And in figure C, the favorite one, optical add drop multiplexer. So you can see here, this is the symbol we are using to indicate the port supporting devices. So the hello. So if you look at hello, your multiplex signal with lambda 1, lambda 3 is approaching at port 1. And at port 2, you can see lambda 1 will be dropped. Then it will be coupled to another uh, two port device where lambda 4 will be added. And output we are getting, here you have to make the correction, that is lambda 1, lambda 2 and lambda 4. So input you are getting lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3, and output you are getting lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 4. Sorry, lambda 2, lambda 3, lambda 4. Lambda 1 will be dropped. So how this optical add-drop multiplexer is designed by using active and passive devices in the last module we have discussed. Okay, that in explanation you can include it. Not the figure, but this only symbolic figure is sufficient right now. So here you can drop or add whichever one wavelength you want to, not multiple wavelengths. Means one wavelength or can be added or dropped at a time, not multiple wavelengths are allowed in such that in such. So in figure D, you can see 4-port device, lambda 1, lambda 2 coming at port 1, lambda 3, lambda 4 coming at port 2. So at the output ports, you can see you are getting lambda 1 and lambda 3. Odd wavelengths you are getting at one port, and even wavelengths you are getting together at the other. This is switching or routing as per the need. So the advanced version of this OADM is a reconfigurable optical airdrop multiplexer. You can configure it to drop or add multiple wavelengths. You have to give the input that which are the wavelengths that you want to drop and which are the wavelengths that you want to add, or channels. That's why it is known as a reconfigurable optical airdrop multiplexer like that. As you can see, we are applying multiplexed lambda 1 to lambda n signal to the demultiplexer. So from out of this lambda 1 to lambda n, some of the specified channels will be dropped by using this node as optical switch, and specified channels or wavelengths will be added back in, and they are multiplexed and sent as a one channel. Normally these are built with, we know that, fiber drag grating filters and circulators. Actually it is not going to support a mesh topology. So in order to make it to support, so if you want this ROADM to support the mesh topology, uh, because why it is not supporting, because mesh topology, each and every node will be interconnected. That every node interconnection is not actually possible with the help of this ROADM, but it can be made possible by using optical cross connection, that is called OXN. So those further things related to these optical network nodes and string elements we can explore in the next session.